What's going on, guys? It's the Double Zero, and today we're here doing a CBR list. Now, I don't think I've done one of these videos before, but this is going to be on 10 ways Sakura ruined her likability in Naruto. Um, I guess to start off, I'll talk about my opinion on Sakura beforehand. I'm not like one of those Sakura haters, but I definitely think she has a lot, and I mean a lot of flaws within the series. So I guess we'll be going into this blind, and you guys can just see what my thoughts are on this. So I guess let's start off with number 10. Okay, number 10 tries to befriend Sasuke by ridiculing Naruto. I actually agree with this. I do think this ruined her likability when you are beginning the series because she's just swooning over Sasuke while like just putting down Naruto. And I mean, she states multiple times that she finds him annoying, and I understand like finding Naruto annoying because he could be like a hyperactive like nutcase, but at the same time, like she kind of just like shat all over him to like horrible extents. I mean, like when she was talking to Sasuke, she was talking about, oh, well, he wasn't raised any good because he didn't have parents. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, no one says that. So honestly, I put this higher on the list because that was a pretty like horrible thing to do, and I knew like she grows out of it, of course, but I don't really think she ever truly apologized to Naruto about like all the terrible things like she said to him or like said about him when they were kids. But yeah, I agree with this, but I'd honestly put it higher up on the list. Number 9 attempts to abandon the village with Sasuke. Okay, I don't know how that makes her unlikable. Um, let's see. Okay, when Sakura learns of Sasuke's plan to leave the Konoha, she's willing to abandon her friends, family, and home, all for a crush. Okay, yeah, it's right. Okay, so I get that like she's in love with him and like that's dumb for her to want to abandon her friends, family, and village. That I understand. I don't really think I found that unlikable because like she's a girl, right? She's like, and when I say she's a girl, I mean she's a kid. She's like what, like 12 at this point, or like 12, 13, something like that at this point. So I don't really expect a little kid who has like a crush on some guy to act completely rationally when they're going to leave, especially when they've like been bonding over time. So I wouldn't necessarily say that she was unlikable in the situation. If anything, it's more I don't want to say relatable, but it's kind of understanding when you look at it from the lens of her being a kid and like has all these like weird feelings towards Sasuke. So I completely disagree with that one. Number 8, Sakura didn't choose to share her food during the bell challenge. Uh, yeah, okay. Neither did Sasuke, right? At least initially. At least. Well, he was out of it until Sasuke did. Okay, yeah, okay. I kind of get that. I've read it a little bit. Okay, essentially what they're saying is that Sasuke decided to share his food with Naruto after he got tied up and like his stomach started growling, if I remember correctly. And she didn't share until like after Sasuke did, so she was kind of playing like follow the leader essentially. Now, I I understand what they're saying, but I think the whole point there was that the whole lesson there is that they're supposed to get along. And if I remember correctly, she even decides to like feed him herself. So I don't know. I think that's a little silly to be like, oh, like she didn't share her food until Sasuke did. I think that's a little disingenuous. But moving on, number 7, she assumed Naruto would fail the tuning exams. Okay, this one is actually kind of unfair. I feel like I'm defending her more than I would, but to be fair, what they're talking about is the written portion of the exam, where they're essentially supposed to be doing different. They're supposed to be being very crafty in this situation and using their techniques to gather data and like fill out the exam. Now, I don't think that's really fair to say that she's unlikable in the situation because he assumed Naruto would fail. Naruto assumed himself he was going to fail, and so did Sasuke, because Naruto at this point is not very intelligent. When I say he's not intelligent, I mean, and when it comes to like fighting, he's very crafty, and can come up with stuff on the fly. But in terms of like academic intelligence, everybody knows that Naruto is not smart in that category. So her making that assumption is pretty reasonable. I think he was like the lowest in his class when it came to like academics in general. So I, that's very disingenuous to say that that was a bad thing for her. Number 6, she ends her friendship with Ino. Okay, this one I kind of agree with. When I was reading their backstory and like watching their backstory, they pretty much became rivals and started hating each other because of the fact that they were both in love with Sasuke. And yeah, I do agree that's pretty silly, but you also need to remember that they're kids, and kids do dumb shit like this all the time. So I don't really think I mean, if someone said that they didn't like this about Sakura, I think that's perfectly fine. But in my personal opinion, I don't really think it's that big of a deal to me. But hey, I mean, if someone like comments like disagrees and thinks that this was like pretty dumb, that's fine. Moving on, she was incapable of confronting Sasuke. Okay, and it looks like they're using the picture from the 5 Kage Summit. Alright, so I guess I'm defending Sakura again. So, yes, Sakura during the 5 Kage Summit decided that she wanted to kill Sasuke, and she wanted to do it without Naruto being there, so he didn't have to share the burden anymore, because she knew at this point she put such a heavy burden on Naruto in promising to return Sasuke, and it was kind of an unhealthy obsession that he grown into. So, like, she tries to take things herself. I mean, she knocks out her allies, which was pretty dumb because they were going to go kill Sasuke with her. But, like, I guess now she just decided, hey, like, I want to go do it myself, which that was pretty dumb of her. But when she got there, and she wanted to go kill Sasuke, but she was unable to. Like, she was shaking with the kunai. I don't think that's really a problem. I mean, imagine it from her point of view. She was in love with. They were friends. I think it's safe to say that her and, even though Sasuke is very cold and he doesn't externally show his emotions enough to like to more visually understand like what he thinks. He definitely like saw them as friends, and Sakura definitely saw him as a friend. Obviously, she was in love with him, but like as kids, I mean, they were friends and stuff like that for, I would say, like years probably. I don't think it's reasonable for her to just have no emotion towards him when she's trying to kill him. Now, yes, like at this point, he's branded like a terrorist, and he's like attacked the Kage and several other high-level people at this point, and he's a rogue ninja. But I mean, at the end of the day, this was like her love of her life and like her friend. So her going in and being like uneasy about killing him is completely rational. I mean, just being in the mindset that you can just go and kill someone and have like a rational reasoning and mindset is a little ludicrous as well. So I don't really have a real problem with her being like this. Now you could argue, okay, well, she tries this twice. She tries this beforehand, like when Sasuke had just like, took out Kong and Danzo, and she tries it a second time when Sasuke is fighting Kakashi and Naruto. Now, the second time you can make more of a reasoning for why she wasn't able to, because he was literally in a fight against Naruto and Kakashi, and he had the intent of killing them. So if you want to make that argument, that's fine. I think either way, it's fine by me. Whether or not you disagree, hey, tell me in the comments. Number 4, She feels the need to hit Naruto. All right, so all right, they say here there's a thin line between funny and annoying when it comes to Sakura. Now, yes, sometimes like Naruto does deserve to like get hit because like he's doing pervy shit like in towards her, and like you can't get away with that. But yeah, I think there's a few times where like she just beats him up and it's a little silly. Like for example, I think when he first comes back to the Leaf Village, like that first episode, I don't know if it was the first chapter. But when he first comes back to the Leaf Village and he talks to Konohamaru and he says like, "Oh, I got a new sexy jutsu," and she just beats his ass just because. I mean that's a little silly. Or like, I don't know. There was a time, I think it was like right before Gaara shows up during the original tuning exams. She like beats up Konohamaru and Naruto. Now I can't remember what like Naruto said, but like she beats them up both up, and it's like okay, that's a little, and like she doubles down on it, like she continuously does it. So I get it. I find it funny sometimes. Sometimes it's just like whatever. I don't have a real problem with it. I wouldn't say like it ruined her likability towards me, but I do think she punished and abused Naruto a little more. And I think it crossed the line a few times. So if anyone has a problem with that, I completely understand. And I probably would say I have a problem with it too. Number 3, here comes the meme, folks. Here comes the fucking meme. She is willfully helpless. Alright. Yes, there's a problem with this. This goes back to part 1. Now, the picture they're using here is Pain, which is the most egregious example in people's arguments. I flip-flop on this one. But let's start at the beginning, right? Let's start at part 1. Part 1, the entirety of part 1 of Naruto, she is useless. Or helpless. Land of Wave, she doesn't really do anything. Tuning exams, she has her fight with Ino, which was the worst fight in the tuning exams. That's neither here nor there, but that's just the truth. And she had the fight against like the Sound 3. I mean, she gets her ass beat, like, but that's the first time we actually see her like take a stance for herself. So I mean, those two were fine examples, but those are the best 2 examples you're gonna get out of part 1 of Naruto. Besides that, she's literally dog shit. Then we get the Shippuden, and within the first arc, the Kazekage rescue mission, we get her fighting Sasori with Chiyo, which is probably her best fight, like, in the series. Or it's at least, like, top 2 best fights in the series for her. And, yeah, I mean, she takes out a Katsuki member, and, yeah, I know people will say with help, but she definitely had the power to destroy his puppets with her bare hands. But, and she made the antidote herself. But, yeah, and then after that, she pretty much doesn't really do anything until we get the Pain arc, and there's one half of this where during most of the invasion, she is healing people in the hospital, which is fine, right? She's supposed to be the best medical ninja besides Shizune and Tsunade in the Leaf Village. So she's out there like in the hospital healing people from this attack. I'm completely fine with that because, I mean, that's like a part of her toolkit. So there's that. But then once Pain blows up the village and just completely nukes it, then that's where we get into the point where I think she should have started fighting. Now, at this point, she didn't have the 100 healings yet, but I do think she should have gotten up and fought Pain and, like, not broke down and cry. But the excuse for that is, and I find this reasonable, is her whole village just got nuked. So she's going to be in a state of shock and panic and helplessness. And she's going to cry out for her friend, who is probably the strongest person who could contend with Pain at this point, because the only other person who could fight Pain, who's associated with the Leaf Village at this point, would have been Might Guy, who was outside of the village at this point. But if he was there, he probably could have fought Pain with the 7th gate and won. But yeah, I mean, I think it's completely reasonable for her to be in like this state of shock and panic and to cry out for her friend to help her save the day. Now, I think she should have fought, like especially like when Hinata got up there and started fighting. So there's no excuse at that point because I think at this point Sakura's probably stronger than her. But yeah, that's it's a meme, but it has some truth to it, and I think this is deserved to be on the list because it can be very frustrating. Number 2, she admits to being pathetic. Actually, I don't think this ruins her likability. I think this improves her likability. I think for someone to be able to understand their own limits or understand that they're hindering themselves and that they have obstacles in their way that they need to improve upon, I think that's completely fine. I think that's good. I think that's very relatable. I know myself, I have hindrances I put on myself that makes me like hold back and not be as good as my peers. And I think acknowledging your weakness is a step to becoming stronger, and it's a good thing. I don't have a problem with this at all, honestly. Like this being number 2 is a little silly. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Number 1, she lies to Naruto about loving him. I'm gonna give it this one. This is a freebie. I'm gonna give this one to him because I completely agree. This is probably the worst thing she's done because it's complete manipulation, and it's complete manipulation. And the thing is, Naruto doesn't even buy into a second of it. It's just the crazy thing. Like, she straight up says like, "Oh, I love you. I don't care about Sasuke anymore. I want to be with you. Let's forget about Sasuke. Everyone else can like deal with him and all this stuff." And it's like, what? Like, what the fuck, bro? What the actual fuck, bro? That's like gaslighting up 101, bro. Like, you can't manipulate some dude like that. And she never like apologizes for it or anything. Like, she faces no repercussion. I mean, Naruto like calls her out for on her bullshit, but that's the most we get. And I mean, it's Naruto. He's not gonna like do anything. He's not gonna like talk shit to her or anything like that. But that's the most egregious example of what she's done in the series. I completely agree. And every time I see that scene, it's pretty frustrating because like it's just I personally just don't like people manipulating people, especially a close friend of yours. And like, Naruto had a childhood crush on Sakura. I think at this point he's gotten over that. But yeah, I mean, you can't do that, man. So like, CBR, I'll give them this one. This is a good freebie. I think this deserves to be like number 1 or number 2. So like, overall, I mean, they had a mixed bag. They were actually, I mean, CBR is usually wrong on a lot of things, but I think this one, they weren't too bad. I mean, they were pretty hit or miss, but they had some zingers in there. So yeah, I give this one a passing grade, you know. But CBR still is the master of L's, so watch out for him, folks. But that's all you got from me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.